As the month of March moves on, we pause to think on the many gifts it has given us. Gifts such as an entire month where initiatives are geared toward helping persons to develop healthy eating and physical habits. It's National Nutrition Month. I'm Theodore Henry, welcoming you to Jamaica Magazine. We're digesting some good stuff today, healthy habits to satisfy the body and strong government initiatives to fuel your life. But first, the news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, March 24. The House of Representatives has passed amendments which will see harsher penalties for persons and entities for breaches of the COVID-19 containment measures. The measures are contained in the National Disaster Risk Management NDRM Act 2021. In Parliament Tuesday, Minister of Local Government and Community Renewal, Desmond McKenzie, said there are now 40 offences with 10 levels of fixed penalties, which are between $3,000 and $500,000.
These penalties do not replace the sanctions for offences that are already in the Principal Disaster Risk Management Act. Anyone who commits an offense, who is brought to the court, convicted before a resident magistrate, parish court, is still liable to the maximum fine of $1 million or to imprisonment not exceeding 1 year.
Among the penalties are a $5,000 fine for not wearing a mask in a public place, refusing to comply with social distance rules, and breaching the rule governing public transportation. A $10,000 fine is to be paid by those who do not comply with the curfew order or do not stay at home when experiencing flu-like symptoms. Gathering in groups of more than 10, operating a gym outside of specified hours, or hosting small outdoor events are also breaches found in the NDRM Act 2021 and attract a fine of $20,000. Jamaicans who fail to quarantine upon returning home from overseas will be charged $25,000, while tourists who refuse to stay inside the resilient corridor will face a $30,000 fine. Companies that do not comply with specified workplace requirements will be fined $50,000. A $50,000 fine will be meted out to persons who break quarantine after testing positive for COVID-19, and a $100,000 fine for those who conduct funerals, worship services, burials, or weddings in contravention of the Act. Bars operating outside of the time specified or operating without the necessary licenses will also be fined $100,000. Persons who operate a beach, zoo, or park outside of specified times will face a $25,000 fine. And hotels or resorts which fail to operate within the COVID-19 protocols will be fined $500,000. This fine also applies to operating a hotel or resort not licensed under the Tourist Board Act or certified by TPDCO. Nightclubs, amusement parks, or water attractions operating when ordered closed, and business process outsourcing companies which breach the protocols. Still in Parliament Tuesday, the state has set aside $126 million to support the most vulnerable during the upcoming 3 consecutive weekends of lockdown that is intended to contain the spread of COVID-19. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement as he closed the 2021-22 budget debate. Dr. Clark said each constituency will receive $2 million, which will be disbursed through the Constituency Development Fund on April 1.
This is the policy intent, that funds will be made available to ease the burden that citizens face, the most vulnerable of citizens, over those lockdown weekends.
The weekend containment measures announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness include a 12 noon start time curfew on Saturday, March 27, ending 5 a.m. on Monday, March 29. Curfew for the second weekend will start at 8 p.m. on Holy Thursday, April 1, and continue all day Good Friday, lifting at 5 a.m. on Saturday, April 3. The weekend lockdown continues at noon on April 3 and continues all day Easter Sunday and Monday, ending at 5 a.m. on April 6. On weekend 3, the curfew starts at midday on Saturday, April 10 and eases at 5 a.m. on Monday, April 12. Workplaces are required to close at noon on the days before the start of the weekend lockdown to allow persons the chance to stock up on supplies.
The measure that we have already put in, you're not going to see the effect until another 2 or 3 weeks. The measures that we're putting in place to come, that will start on the weekend, those measures will have some more immediate effect because they're stronger, but the real effect will be several weeks in advance. They will get the measures down, the numbers down. I'm confident of that.
In other news, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be carrying out large-scale COVID-19 vaccinations on Saturday, March 27 at the National Arena in Kingston.
This is the Blitz Center approach, where we pull together a much larger infrastructure of medical personnel, where our mobilization efforts are a lot more significant, and where we try to vaccinate or set a target to vaccinate some 1,000 Jamaicans.
Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the announcement at the ministry's virtual press conference yesterday. He says the blitz is geared towards persons 75 years and older, with 1,000 persons being targeted for vaccination on Saturday. Persons must make their appointments to be inoculated by going online using the ministry's website moh.gov.jm or by calling the Vaccination Call Center hotline 888-663-5683. Minister Tufton says other vaccination blitz sites are being planned for the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James and the Bahia Principe Hotel in St. Anne. Government has designed a new approach to tackle the issue of non-communicable diseases, NCDs, with Tuesday's launch of the National Committee on NCDs. The committee is expected to review and make recommendations to the ministry and stakeholders on policies, laws, and programs related to NCDs. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says there is a heightened need to control NCDs during the COVID-19 pandemic.
It is important now, more than ever, that we continue to battle COVID-19, but also to sustain and to re-emphasize the efforts against non-communicable diseases. Indeed, if you look at the COVID-19 statistics of those who have tragically passed from complications related to COVID-19, the majority of those are either aged similar, over 60, or suffer from comorbidities. And NCDs, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, renal issues. And so the connection is very much there.
According to Dr. Tufton, more than 70% of deaths in Jamaica have been attributed to NCDs, with 1 in 3 Jamaicans suffering from hypertension, 1 in 8 having diabetes, and 1 in 2 suffering from obesity. The establishment of the committee is also in keeping with the United Nations Global Political Declaration on NCDs and the CARICOM Heads of Government 14-point declaration. A coffee township is to be established in Buff Bay, Portland. This forms part of the Ministry of Tourism's efforts to minimize the wastage of the coffee bean with the introduction of products and services surrounding the commodity. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett says many opportunities are to be created as only 20% of the bean is used to produce the beverage, while 80% is wasted.
We would bring in, all of the values, establish the infrastructure for it, create the buildings that are convenient and conducive to enabling coffee presentation in all its form. Artisans and artisan arrangements to make sure that the bean, one, then the fiber itself is another. So what we have is a full program.
Minister Bartlett was speaking at the recent virtual staging of the 4th Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee Festival. The tourism minister says the initiative, which is currently at concept phase, is to also provide employment for hundreds of people as the bean is maximized. Gastronomy is also being incorporated, with coffee-infused meals being a pull for tourists to the Eastern Parish. And finally, the Westmoreland Family Court now has a permanent home. This as Cabinet approved the acquisition of a property at 26 Rose Street in Savannah, Lamar at a cost of $38.5 million. Information Minister Favour Williams made the disclosure during this morning's post-Cabinet press briefing. She says the property, which is currently being leased, houses the Westmoreland Family Court and the Victim Support Unit.
The relocation of the Westmoreland Family Court from its current location was not recommended at this time, given the cost to establish another court and the inevitable inconvenience to the court staffers and residents of the parish.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Now, an in-depth look into the Industry, Investment and Commerce Ministry's financial plans for the 2021-2022 fiscal year.
The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce has been allotted over $3.3 billion for housekeeping expenses in the 2021-2022 estimates of expenditure. Another $349 million will be utilized to undertake special projects with help from bilateral partners. One of the ministry's major initiatives for the new financial year involves financing projects designed to promote the growth of the global services sector, GSS, in Jamaica. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, is providing the $338 million funding for this capital expenditure. It will develop a career pathway framework and facilitate the GSS 2020 and 2021 pilot apprenticeship program. It will also support the training of 6,000 new entrants by Heart NSTA in the Enhanced Job Readiness and Digital Skills curricula. Other plans include implementing the GSS information platform, branding campaigns, developing an industry skills upgrade strategy, and instituting mechanisms for measuring and improving the performance of those who provide training. With an $11 million budget, JAMPRO is conducting implementation support for skills development in this area. Government will be facilitating continued industrial development and regulation to the tune of over $1.5 billion. The Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, has been allotted over $556 million to help with further strengthening of the MSME sector. It includes $50 million to procure equipment under the Exotic Oils Extraction Technology Project. Another $33 million will be used to upgrade technology for remote business training and technical services. Support will also be provided for the expansion of small business development centers and the Export Max 3 program. Trade promotion and development will be further strengthened with a budget of just over $1 billion.
Our manufacturing, producing sector, export sectors have been among the country's long-standing contributors to economic development. These sectors have shown significant resilience despite the challenges that the pandemic has presented. The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is committed to providing all the support necessary to allow these sectors to continue to recover and to grow and increase the contribution to GDP.
The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, creating a gateway for business development in Jamaica.
If between January 1, 2020 and December 31, 2020, you were a public official in receipt of total emoluments of $3,500,000 Jamaican dollars or above, or you were appointed or performed the functions of a position listed in the Jamaica Gazette, December 1, 2020, regarding the Integrity Commission Act, you are required to file a statutory declaration of assets, liabilities and income as at December 31, 2020. What to file? You are required to declare all balances and interests in all assets, liabilities, and income received by you, your spouse, and children living in your household. Why file? The Integrity Commission has implemented its zero-tolerance policy. Declarants are required to submit all outstanding statutory declarations. Failure to submit a statutory declaration may attract a fine of not exceeding 500,000 Jamaican dollars or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months. A person who knowingly makes a false statement in the statutory declaration may be liable to a fine not exceeding 2 million Jamaican dollars or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years. The Integrity Commission has decentralized the collection of statutory declarations. Submit your statutory declaration for the period January 1, 2020 to December 31, 2020 securely within your organization on or before March 31. Here's how. First, complete your statutory declaration. Ensure you have entered the correct as-at date, which would be December 31, 2020. NA or C attached is never an appropriate response. Use none and list all required balances. Copy or print additional pages where necessary. Ensure all the sections are signed. A justice of the peace is required to validate your signature by signing, entering the date, location, and affixing their embossed seal. Attach the relevant supporting documents. ATM printouts are not accepted. Place the required information on the statutory declaration envelope. Seal the envelope and affix your security seal. Deposit the secure envelope in the Integrity Commission branded collection box or with your designated officer on or before March 31, 2021. Finally, enter your name and date of submission on the Integrity Commission log sheet. The designated officer will facilitate the submission of all statutory declarations to the Integrity Commission by Friday, April 9, 2021. The Integrity Commission will register your statutory declaration and send you a receipt by email on or before Friday, April 30, 2021. For more information, visit our website at integrity.gov.jm or give us a call at 876-968-6227.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Nutrition balance is important, but right now we want to start from the outside before going in. This starts with working out. Here are some effective tips on how you can lose weight and tone the body.
You want this lean, muscular physique and well-toned body, framed for the beach, carnival parade, or just your regular dressed down or formal attire. You want to cut the fat and develop that noticeable defined muscle and shape, but not significant muscle size. There's nothing wrong with any of that, as long as you remember the most important thing is not a summer or designer body, but rather a healthy body. By doing efficient exercises and controlling your weight, you can expect to safely lose between 1 and 2 pounds a week on your journey to a more fit body. But doctors recommend that you should not lose more than 1 to 2 pounds per week. For many people, even this rate may be too aggressive in terms of dietary and exercise modifications.
That body is not just going to come overnight. It's not going to come within 2 weeks or a month, depending. It all depends on the type of activity you do, how you do it.
Within 2 months, if you stick to your exercise program and if it's done properly, you will see and feel results. Before starting any structured exercise program, however, persons should first consult with their doctor.
The reason why we need a medical approval from our doctor is that a lot of us have pre-existing health conditions, and some of us are not as fit as we think. For example, in Jamaica, 4 in 10 is hypertensive and they don't know it. And it's the same with diabetes, 4 in 10 and don't know it. And our stats tell us 7 out of 10 Jamaicans die from a chronic disease. We define physical activity by intensity level and the frequency in which we do it. Frequency meaning how often we do it per week. For example, 2 times per week or 5 days per week. The intensity is the energy in which we use to perform the activity, meaning how hard you work out. There's 3 levels of intensity: low, moderate, and vigorous.
If you want to lose weight, the Ministry of Health recommends 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 5 days per week. To lose and maintain weight, 90 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 5 days per week is recommended. There are 2 main categories of exercise, namely aerobic and anaerobic exercise.
What this is saying that the body needs oxygen to break down fat that is stored in the body. All the calories stored in the body as fat need oxygen to break it down, that is in the tissue. So if you want to lose weight, you must do the aerobic activity to burn that fat that we use as energy when we're doing the activity. So the type of activities are like swimming, running, dancing. It is normally done for a long period of time.
When you decide to lose weight, you want results. Results keep you motivated and on track. Cardiovascular exercises are part of the aerobic category, and they help you trim down by burning extra calories. While this helps shed excess fat and strengthens your cardiorespiratory system, it won't build the tone in your muscles that you're after.
Now, when we talk about anaerobic activity, it is activity that does not need oxygen. It's quick, it's fast, it's snap. So most of the time, that activity will help to tone the muscles that we're looking for. But you cannot tone unless, we lose that fat. So you need to do the aerobic activity, then you do the anaerobic activity, which is like the weightlifting, the squats, the push-ups, the jumping, so that now you lose with aerobic and then you tone with anaerobic.
Calories are the name of the game when you're trying to lose weight. Eat fewer calories than you burn and the scale will respond.
Generally, we work with a 2,000 to 2,500 caloric intake per day for the general population. But for each person, their caloric requirements is different because we calculate it based on your specific age, your height, weight, gender, and how physically active you are. Females generally eat less because they carry less muscle mass than men, and so they weigh less. The range is different. For someone who is very slim and short, then maybe 1,800 would be a safe amount to say for that person. But for men, 2,100 would be the lower end of the spectrum.
You may create a caloric deficit, which will cause you to lose weight, but it's best to work with a balanced diet and exercise.
A caloric deficit is when you consume less calories than what you're using for the day. So usually persons try to cut their caloric intake significantly to lose a lot of weight at once, but consuming less than, say, 1,200 calories per day can cause you to have nutritional deficiencies. You can lose muscle and bone, and your body will also go into starvation mode so that you'll stop losing weight altogether.
That's a no-no. The best way to slim down and tone up is to combine balanced diet and exercise. And avoid fad diets such as low-carb, high-protein, or anything that deviates from a balanced diet.
In Jamaica, we have food-based dietary guidelines that are specific to the Jamaican population, but it's based on the 6 food groups in the Caribbean. So we have food from animals, staples, legumes and nuts, fruits, vegetables, and fats and oils.
Losing weight at a rate faster than 1 to 2 pounds per week and regularly skipping meals can leave you feeling extraordinarily hungry so that you binge at the next opportunity, causing weight regain. Plan for 3 balanced meals per day, in addition to 1 or 2 healthy snacks.
You want to include foods from all of your food groups. So say for example you're planning for lunch, you want to include either food from animals or a plant-based protein like beans or nuts. You have your staple foods like rice, bread or pasta, your fruits and vegetables that you can include in a salad, and you can put your fats and oils, for example, like in pear or avocado. Healthy snacks are low in fat, low in salt, and low in sugar. So you can have a fruit or vegetables, for example, carrot sticks, or you can use dried fruits and nuts. As a general guide, 1 serving of food from animals is the palm of your hand. A cup of rice is like your fist, and fats and oils is your thumb. That's 1 serving.
Losing fat and retaining or building muscle creates a strong, toned appearance. Do strength training activities that focus on all the major muscles and the entire body, upper, mid, and lower body. Plank is a good full body workout which helps to build strength in your core, upper, and lower body. Those that focus on the lower body include lunges, using the stairs, leg press, and squat exercises that effectively work most of the major muscle groups of the butt, hips, and thighs. Some examples of exercises to strengthen the mid-body abdominal muscles include the side twist, traditional crunch, bicycle crunch, and exercise ball. You can also try other activities to sculpt your legs, tone your thighs and bottom muscles, waist, and abs.
Ensure that you hydrate properly. It is good to drink water before, during, and after your activity so you don't get dehydrated. Don't wait until you're thirsty, just take your water with you and sip, little sip as you go along. So make sure you work out at an intensity level that suits you, because every one of us are at a different fitness level.
Getting and staying fit is a lifestyle change, so you have to make exercise a part of your daily routine and eat a balanced diet daily for a happier, healthier you.
Do you know what a disability is? A permanent loss of function in any part of your body is called a disability. Some people are born that way. Others get a disability because of an illness or an accident. This doesn't have to prevent you from living a full life. The Disabilities Act will protect your right to work, raise families, or do business like anyone else. Visit jcpdja.com. A message from the JCPD, an agency of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
This is where we put a final pause for today's show. Thanks for staying through the Jamaica Magazine experience. To watch the packages you may have missed, visit the JIS YouTube channel, and you can also head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more information, and of course, press the follow buttons. From all of us here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. See you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.